Okay, so I kind of got the idea for building this after I finished my AT rifle that I made. It's well, it's supposed to be. It actually seems like more like the old like World War II Panzer Shreks, more or less the same purpose, but not what I was going for. Still fun. It was fun to make, but I kind of got inspired to build something a little smaller, and I kind of wanted to make it something easy to do because when I was probably about 14 or so, my brother and I got really into airsoft, and all of our friends did it, but we never had the money for any of the big stuff because, we were middle schoolers. So I looked to try and build some things, but I didn't really have the skill or money to actually make anything fancy either. So that kind of ruined that. So I decided to build something that was relatively cheap to build. I mean, it had to buy some stuff, but some things can be scavenged if you know where to look. And the tools are very basic, more or less should be sitting around almost anywhere. So my main barrel is, of course, 2-inch PVC pipe, which fits these Nerf footballs, still dirty from when I was using it last time. Also, you can put a bunch of BBs in by just putting some wadding around them. I've used newspapers for the other one. I launched probably like 100 BBs in one shot. It was pretty awesome. I didn't wear eye protection. Don't do it that way. Wear eye protection. I also shot a brick wall, so it all came back at me. Anyway, so my main barrel, 2-inch PVC pipe. The air tank is 1/2-inch steel pipe, just black iron. It'll probably be your most expensive part. I think it's like $14 for that one piece. Other than that, this was scrap, and you can find it a lot of places, but even then, I don't think it's that much. But most of the other parts, I think individually, like $2 or $3 usually. But so to make the barrel, we're gonna take a couple of reducers, have it filled with just a tire valve, so you can fill it up with either an air compressor or just some sort of mobile air tank, or you can get one of these CO2 tire fillers. This is actually for a different project that I just happen to have sitting around here, totally not related to the blowgun also sitting on my table, and the other random stuff also sitting here. But the main trigger is just this 1/2-inch ball valve. It's not going to be as quick as the other one because you have to manually, this is hard to do while holding a camera, you have to manually pull it down, which is actually really easy, but I can't do it because I haven't done the push-up against. Then this elbow that I just cut down, that will also fit into my main barrel. The rest of the barrel is pipe with, this is a 2-inch coupler, I think what it's called. Basically allows to put 2 pieces of PVC pipe together. But with this is going to be kind of my back, so I'm going to be able to load things in the back so I don't have to ram everything down the barrel. But then I have, this is just a plug with, well, not a plug, it's actually a reducer from just regular pipe, fits in there, to I think 1-inch threads. That's not really important. As long as it's threaded, and then I have a plug that fits into those threads that I'll screw in, and I'll make your back. So I'll probably go into a little more detail as I go because I've already been sitting here talking for really nothing. So I'm going to start by building up my barrel and then go from there. And so, yeah. Okay, so see that's on camera? Okay, so for the barrel, I'm going to start by taking, this is just a 1/2-inch coupler for the 1/2-inch steel pipe. This is a 1/2-inch to 1/4 reducer, then a 1/4 to 1/8 reducer. Then I think it's called a Schrader valve. I always call them tire valves, but basically, hardware store, air compressor stuff. They're breast thread, which is also 1/8. All these, of course, being the same pipe threads. Going to take this Teflon tape, wrap around all of those, and then, of course, that. Screw them together as tight as I can, and then put on the... Sorry, phone just about dead. Then put on the end of my PVC pipe, and then build up the small trigger mechanism of it. tight. Ow. There we go. It's not the prettiest, and I'm sure there's a better way to do it. Like, I'm pretty sure you can combine these two into one. This is just what I bought. So now I'm going to attach this to the end of my steel pipe, and then I'm just going to thread on these as well. This, of course, you want to put Teflon tape on because you want it still going to be holding pressure. The other side you don't have to, since it's basically releasing it. So I'm just going to do that off camera real quick, since, you know, it's about the same as you did before. Just screw them on tight. Make sure everything's tight. This will be holding pressure and you don't want. Okay, so for the main barrel of this, I have 2.5, also 30 inches of PVC. Not quite what I had in mind, or this is the length I wanted. The actual tank is longer than I wanted because I couldn't get it, you know, like 1.5 feet. Not 1.5 feet, like 24 inches, 2 foot. I want 2 foot of PVC. Nah, let me start that over. Okay, so I have, for the main body of this, I guess, 2.5 foot of PVC, which was going to be longer than my air tank, but all I could find was 30-inch of steel pipe, which, once you add everything out, makes it longer. But that's fine. I'll maybe make adjustments later. Maybe I won't. Nope, don't kick the tripod. Anyway, so what I'm going to do here, and this is probably the hardest thing stuff. Nah, not really hard, but basically you have to glue it on. I was kind of messing with it earlier, and I don't think it's really going to be necessary if you do. Like, if you want to just shove this on as tight as you can, and it should be fine if you can't get PVC cement. But since I have PVC cement, I'm using it. And it's pretty simple to use. There's kind of a cleaner, primer stuff. This is going to stain my wood. I just now realized that. Oh well, they're not screwed down. They kind of put this around, and it will leave a mark, but it just kind of cleans it up. See if I can prop it up on something or not. Then you put the other a little bit on the inside of your other piece. Wow, that's a strong smell. I'd recommend doing this part outside. Then you take your epoxy, not really an epoxy, this stuff kind of, it like melts the two pieces of PVC together. And just kind of apply that around. This won't be holding too much pressure, so you don't have to be perfect at it, but I try to make sure I get a good seal. Then you put them on, you kind of twist them together. Just kind of keep pushing and twisting until it freezes in place. And then once it hardens, it's set, and that's not coming off base without taking a reciprocating saw and chopping it off. So once that's kind of solidified, which I don't know how long that really takes. I think it's usually pretty quick. I'm just going to take a drill with this has like a 1-inch drill bit on it. It's slightly smaller than the elbow is, but that's why I got this file. So I'm going to drill a hole to where it's going to be just on the inside of this coupler, I think. And that way it'll be right at the back of the launcher. I don't know what I'm calling this. It's not really a rocket launcher, it doesn't use rockets, but I don't know. Not really the point. That is gonna fall over. Okay, don't have blowguns sitting upright while doing this. Fit. Okay, so I cut down the elbow before I realized I need the coupler because I did not plan this. So it's a little too short. So this hose clamp is all that's holding it on. It doesn't fit in the hole very well. But I got the hose clamp originally to hold it together anyway, just because the steel pipe alone weighs more than the, you know, everything else. So what I'm going to do with that is, once I actually get the right piece cut, and you will have to cut it, just so that way you can put everything down the barrel like you're supposed to, I plan on taking some of this, this is just two-part epoxy, but that kind of seal it up a little bit. Hopefully it sticks to the PVC. If not, I'll have to find something else. But I just need to seal it. I also decided, since this sits lower than I originally need it to, I'm going to put something on the end of it. I'll probably just get another coupler like that one, put at the end of the barrel, just, you know, it might look better that way anyway. So, not really necessary. I just don't want that blocking the shot, because as this comes out, it's going to, you know, hit that, and we don't want that. So, now all that we have left to do is basically just build the block, and then of course me adding the few other pieces, which are pretty easy to do. And yeah, that's the, let me get started on that. Okay, so to build the back, it's pretty simple. You just take these two pieces before, a 2-inch, I think it's just 2-inch male piece. I don't remember the exact names of all these. Basically, it's smooth to 1-inch threaded, or actually, I was just, this 3/4 threaded. Let's take a 3/4 plug and screw them together. That's basically it. Now, I also found that, and I don't really have a good way of showing this, I'll probably show one later once I get everything painted up, but if you just take some paracord, I just have this loosely knotted from just kind of playing with it earlier. Also, I know you don't necessarily have to glue that last piece in, but it is kind of handy. Take some paracord where it's tied tightly around there. This is too loose because it just kind of slips off. But even then, you have this, you know, shoved all the way on. Nice seal. I just launched something off my table. And it just pops right out. And then, from there, just take your projectile, not drop it, shove it in the back. With these, you don't really have to worry too much, because it's, let me adjust the camera a little bit. You know, I need to trim those down because they don't really fit in the 2-inch PVC very well. But there's always space before the shot where it seals. But if you're using airsoft BBs, like I also want to do, you want to make sure that's past this hole, so that way it has enough space to, you know, force everything out. Then once your shot's in, just take your plug, shove it back in place, and you're ready to go. I'll probably do one last thing showing what I finished up, but it's pretty much done. I've probably been sitting here maybe an hour, hour and a half working on this, and it would have went a lot faster had it been a little better prepared, but basically, yeah. I also found from doing a little bit playing, the valve I have leaks, not the ball valve, the tire valve. I think it might just be the valve I have. I'll change it out here and see. I need one of these I'm going to strip out anyway. Just use it as a reducer. Long story. But yeah, basically this is your pretty simple rocket launcher. It's, I mean, it could, I wish it was cheaper, because again, I essentially built this for 14-year-old me wanting to do this stuff without any real tools or skill or money. You know, well, okay, I don't have a ton of money. I spent it all on blacksmithing stuff. But, you know, I definitely have the skill and tools now that I didn't have then. If, you know, we watch some of my stuff, I actually made actually not quite a year ago, I made a thumper grenade launcher. I actually looked at the real thing that fires airsoft grenades. But, you know, I want something simple, something basically anyone could build, and, you know, basic tools. It's pretty simple. And hell, with a little bit of experimenting, you could probably make one better than I did. I would also recommend going for the 24-inch, not the 30-inch, because this looks weird. But anyway, after this, once I get done, I'm just going to give it a coat of paint. I don't really know what I'm going with. I'll probably just paint it black just because that's the spray paint I usually have lying around. Look at historical ones, like kind of disposable, just short rocket launchers like this is. They were usually like army green because, you know, everything the U.S. military is. But I saw some that kind of had some camo painted, or, you know, the era of video games, make it rainbow colored, or, you know, tiger stripes, something cool. You know, it's your rocket launcher. Make it the way you want it. So, a couple of days and one trip to the hardware store later, I finally have this thing more or less the way I want it. So I have a couple tweaks I have to make. Mostly, you know, painting it, and another trip to the hardware store because I forgot my elbow because I was looking at other things. Not really relevant to anything, but, you know, I forget things easily. Not important. So, what I basically did was I got my end cap here. Actually, not an end cap, it's another coupler. That holds the barrel off. I just knocked something over. My workspaces are always a mess, so that happens quite a bit. But, yeah, that's about the main difference here. At least I'm not going to go over at the moment. I also found that my air compressor does not have enough power to actually pressurize the small tank to launch the Nerf football or even a wad of BBs out the end of the barrel. So I ended up having to use CO2 cartridges. And I don't know how else it worked with the other ones, but with the one I got, I managed to build this little modification to where I can take... This is meant to either use threaded 16-gram CO2 cartridges, or with this you can use 20-gram CO2 cartridges. But unfortunately, neither one of those are available where I live. So with a bit of ingenuity and like 3 pieces from the hardware store, all 3/4 inch, I actually have something that fits. This actually works really well and holds 12-gram CO2 cartridges. So now I just get stuff from my local Walmart. Pretty handy. I kind of wanted to avoid using CO2 just because, well, actually, now I think about it, air compressors probably aren't the most available for a lot of people either. I mean, where I live, they're pretty common, but I don't know how much they are outside of here. I don't know, maybe they're more common than I think, but I don't really know. Either way, this is probably your best option, you know, if you're out in the field or doing something, carrying one of these with you is easy. This gets 2 shots out of a 12-gram CO2 cartridge, and it has relatively decent power. I don't really know the range. I'm still kind of, playing around with it a bit, but also, one major difference that you'll probably notice is kind of sitting here is I put this piece of string, it's actually paracord. This is the trigger system. I'll make some adjustments when I go to finish it up, but essentially, it allows you to, instead of having to have your hand on the little valve there and kind of hold it awkwardly, you can have them up here, and let's get it on camera. Grab the string, and this is very awkward to do from this position, but I'll upload the test footage of it. You can just give it a pretty good pull, and it'll pull this down. It actually works really well. That looks terrible, but anyway, it allows you to kind of hold it like you would, your traditional, kind of rocket launchers, not awkwardly like you would if you just left that valve on there. And it's pretty simple to do. I just drilled a small hole in the end of it. Actually, originally in my testing, I just used a clamp to hold it on, so basically I think any way you could use to attach the string to the end, it's not gonna fall off and you gotta give it a good yank. So, anyway, trigger system, piece of string. I had a few when I was kind of designing this, bending some steel to make some sort of weird trigger, but it all seemed overcomplicated and didn't really work very well. Just kind of kept coming back to attaching some sort of string or cable to it and just pulling on that. So, it seemed to work. But I think this is going to be the last of the actual build stuff, because essentially this is finished once I get that done. Although I will recommend putting some sort of like epoxy or something around here just to seal it off. I'll probably show that when it's done. But other than that, yeah. Although I'll have to say you want to make sure this is pushed down all the way, because my first test with it built, it launched that back along with the projectile. So don't want that because it will remove power. So I guess all left now is to, again, fix that the way I want to. Put some sort of sweet paint on it. I'll probably just go black just because I have that lying around. But, if you want something more traditional, some sort of army green would work well. Or, if you're a lot better at painting than I am, you put flames on it or camo or rainbow stripes or I don't know what else whatever you can think of really, And if you build these, it's your build, and you made as colorful or dull or dark or light or whatever you want it to be, really. But, yeah. Let's have some fun with this thing.